Hello, everybody. I am Mickey. I am not your mama's minister, and today we are going to talk about altars. So, I love altars primarily because you can do whatever you want with it. It is traditionally a something that is either a table or a fountain or something that you make offerings or do mystical works. You set it up to honor specific deities or people, spirits, etc. And so it really doesn't matter how you go about creating your altar. I've seen travel altars made in Altoids tins or in those little boxes, the tiny little boxes that you can get at any of your craft supply stores. I've seen that done. I have seen people get the fancy wooden boxes and then carry their altar items in the box. There are so many different ways to do it. I know people who set up their entire homes as altars. So they have altars in every single home, and pretty much their home is an altar. And so it doesn't matter how you want to set it up. For example, I have those utility shelves going on for my altar, and I've used various other items for, or various other types of shelving or end tables, headboards of beds. So it really doesn't matter what you want to use for it, as long as what you're putting on it matters, and it has to matter mostly to you. For example, yesterday was Joan of Arc's feast day. I know that there are some people who feel you shouldn't light candles for her because, of course, she was burned to death. And so they prefer to leave a bowl of water or a glass of water for her on their altar for her feast day. And so it varies. I know people who use, in fact, I myself have certain things on my altar. For example, can you see it up there? I don't think you can see it up there, and I don't want to stand up and show you because my skirt is all crumpled up and in my lap, and I'm showing my undies right now. But I have fuck me, what is it? Oh shit, Rocket. I have Rocket from the Guardians of the Galaxy up there. I have a number of things that are like superhero, supervillain, and so it's really representative of your spiritual path. It doesn't matter whether or not it is a traditional offering or sacrifice to whatever deity or whatever saint or whatever spirit, demon, etc. that you are working with. It doesn't matter about that, because we need to remember that we're the ones that are doing the worship. And so I know how some more fundamentalist practitioners might feel about that statement, but really we have to feel comfortable with what's on our altar, what we have representing not only the whatever we are worshiping or working with, but also representing our spiritual paths. And so make sure that you feel comfortable with what's on your altar. My altar changes regularly. I give away things that are on my altar. I have a tendency to have a lot of personal items on my altar, such as things that either my children or grandchildren have done for me. And so things like that. I have movie stars that I kind of idolize. And so it goes from there. You can pretty much go with whatever you feel like going with. Now, if you are going to go with a traditional path, so let's say you are going to go with Santeria or one of the other pagan or polytheistic paths, or you're going to go with a monotheistic path. It doesn't matter. Make sure that you are setting up your altar to follow that tradition if that is what you're wanting. And they have a number of websites, a number of blogs, a number of books, all sorts of charts and things like that. You can go on Pinterest and look up altars, and tons of people have posted pictures of their altars or altars that they admire, that they really like, that touch them. And I was very fortunate / unfortunate. I was living in Indianapolis at the time that with a boyfriend, an ex-boyfriend, and we went to the Day of the Dead display at one of the local museums, and I think it was a museum, and so it was beautiful. They had beautiful, beautiful altars, but for me it was one of those things where I really felt that those altars were set up for display. They didn't feel, a lot of them did not feel personal. Many of them did, but many of them did more felt like it was for display for others. And of course it's a competition in a museum, or an art display at a museum. So of course that's not that big of a deal, but you want to make sure that your altar that you're using for your mystical work, for keeping your, for example, my tarot cards are on the top shelf over there. So anything that you are keeping for your mystical work that you're keeping on the altar, you want to make sure it makes sense to you. If you have a specific altar for the deities or spirits of love and beauty, sex, that kind of thing, you may want to avoid anything like adding additional images or representatives of things like fertility, unless you're planning on having children. Because I've known too many people, skilled practitioners, who didn't even think about it, and they set an egg, just an egg, pretty decorative egg or a real egg, on their altar with their love goddesses, or with their relationship spirits, or with ancestors who may have been very big into the breeding aspect of family. And so, then they end up pregnant, and they're like, where the fuck did this happen? Well, because you need to make sure that you're including and excluding the things that make sense for the mystical work that you are currently practicing, or for your spiritual path that you are currently practicing or following. So, but like I said, anything goes with your altar. Set it up. Make sure that you're being polite. So if you have roommates, or if you have other people in the home that aren't into the same practice, that are not into the same worship or anything like that, or they want their own decor up, make sure that you're asking prior to putting it up in the common rooms, because it is offensive if you are just taking up a bunch of room for your mystical and spiritual practice without even asking anybody else who is also living in the house if they're comfortable with it, or if they mind. Do you mind if I put it in this area, etc., etc.? So all of those things, make sure that you keep your candles in safe locations. So for example, if I am burning any of the glass candles, or any candles at all, and I need to leave it burning, I can't put it out until the spell is done, or until the working is done, then what I will do is take the candle and put it into the bathtub and move the curtain away. And so, that way if it falls over, it's probably going to scorch the tub a little bit, but it's going to go out. And so make sure that you're using anything that uses fire in a safe place. So make sure your altar has a safe location for you to be able to do that, whether it's a dish of water that you keep the candle in, or whether it is just not keeping candles or anything burning on your altar. Remember, safety first. The last thing that we need is for you to burn your house down while you're trying to do a blessing. So let me see. Safety, go with what you feel comfortable. I already said that. And anything goes having to do with altars. If you are going to do an altar in your car, make sure that you have your visibility. Your visibility isn't fucked up. If you get stopped by the police and you get a ticket for, shit being in your dashboard that could impede your visibility, don't blame me. And I think that might be it. You can also do temporary altars. I actually love temporary altars, which is just writing the items down on a piece of paper. For those of you artists out there, you can go ahead and draw the images of what you're needing for that specific working and or ritual or anything like that. And so you can totally do disposable and temporary altars if you need to. And I think that's it. I think that might be it. So much love, many blessings, and yes, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment.